Every 66 seconds, someone in the US develops Alzheimer's disease, and 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or another dementia. This could very easily be your parents or grandparents, or one day even you or your spouse. My mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease after a stroke when I was 8 years old. I've been taking care of her since then, and I've watched her go through the first stage of Alzheimer's disease, and now currently the second stage. I also volunteer with the Hudson Valley chapter of the Alzheimer's Association on the annual Walk to End Alzheimer's. I also volunteer for various fundraising events such as Sub-Zero Heroes, where I pledged and raised over $500 to jump into a frozen lake in the middle of winter. I'm currently wearing my shirt for that as well. I often visit the Alzheimer's Association website at www.alz.org if anyone is interested in learning more about Alzheimer's or volunteering as well. Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia in the elderly and accounts for up to 60 cases of dementia. It causes problems with memory, thinking, and behavior. It's not a normal part of the aging process. It worsens over time, and there is currently no cure. No medications are available to slow the progression of the disease. The prognosis for Alzheimer's disease is poor. The average survival after diagnosis is 4 to 8 years, although diagnosis is often delayed. I'd like to cover the 3 stages of Alzheimer's disease and what to expect with each stage. The first stage of Alzheimer's disease is called mild Alzheimer's disease, or the early stage. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive disease, which means that the symptoms are usually mild and start slowly. A person's cognitive and functional abilities get worse over time. My mother entered into this stage in 2010, shortly after her stroke in 2008. In this stage, a person may still function independently and may still drive or work. The person may feel as if he or she is having memory lapses, such as forgetting familiar words or the location of everyday objects. Most of the time, it's the family and those close to the individual who notice more difficulties than the individual themselves notice. These difficulties can include problems coming up with the right word or name, challenges in performing tasks in social and work settings, forgetting material one has just read, such as a bill that came in the mail or an important email from work, losing or misplacing a valuable object, anywhere from your car keys to your wedding ring, and increased trouble with planning or organizing. With my mom, it was difficult to recognize these difficulties as symptoms of Alzheimer's disease due to her having a stroke 2 years prior. It was only after my family and I had learned that she had early onset Alzheimer's, which is when Alzheimer's affects a person under the age of 65, when she was only 42, that we were able to think back and remember all the difficulties we noticed years prior. Only less than 5% of everyone who has Alzheimer's disease have early onset Alzheimer's. Now I know what you may be thinking, how could she go so long without a diagnosis? But it turns out that only 1 in 4 people who are living with Alzheimer's disease have been diagnosed. She would sometimes mix my name Ash and my brother's name Chris and call me Cash or Crash. She also started becoming overwhelmed and unorganized very easily, such as while making dinner, she would forget food in the stove or on the oven. But little did we know how much worse it would get at the next stage. The second, and typically the longest stage, is moderate Alzheimer's disease, or the middle stage, which is also the stage my mom is in. This stage can last for many years, and as it progresses, the person with Alzheimer's will require a greater level of care due to the damages in the nerve cells in the brain that occur in this stage and make it difficult to express thoughts or perform routine tasks. Symptoms in this stage will be very noticeable to others and may include forgetfulness about one's own personal history or events, such as graduating or getting married, having children, feeling moody or withdrawn, especially in socially or mentally challenging situations, being unable to recall their own address or phone number or the high school or college from which they graduated, confusion about where they are or what day it is or what time of year it is, the season. They need help choosing proper clothing for the season or the occasion. They experience sleep patterns changes, such as sleeping during the day and becoming restless at night. Patient monitoring is recommended because the development of behavioral problems such as sleep depression and psychosis occur in this stage. They also have an increased risk of wandering or becoming lost and have severe personality or behavioral changes. For example, my mom truly believes that she used to work in Minneapolis and have traveled to Japan for work, but she only ever worked in New York State and never even left the country until a family vacation in 2011, many years later. She also recently started sleeping from 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. and then staying awake until 3 a.m. until falling back asleep again, which was never a normal sleep pattern for her. She sometimes forgets what season it is, and a few weeks ago she put on a sundress even though it was the middle of winter. I stay home most of the time to watch after her, but neither me or my father are prepared for the next stage. The third and final stage is severe Alzheimer's disease, or the late stage. Memory and cognitive skills continue to worsen, significant personality changes may take place, and individuals need extensive help with daily activities. Individuals in the final stage of Alzheimer's may need round-the-clock assistance with daily activities and personal care, such as showering, getting dressed, brushing their hair or their teeth. They lose awareness of recent experiences as well as their surroundings, which means they might not remember what they did yesterday or where they are. They experience changes in physical abilities, including the ability to walk, sit, and eventually swallow. They have increased difficulty communicating and may stop communicating verbally altogether, and they are very vulnerable to infections, especially pneumonia. Some symptoms listed above I've already seen in my mother. She has a personal power chair that she uses when I take her to doctor's appointments since she cannot walk far. One day she will need more care than I am able to provide. According to the World Alzheimer's Report 2016, training, mentoring, and support by specialists are essential to adequate Alzheimer's and dementia health care. The issue is that the healthcare needs of an individual in the severe stage of Alzheimer's may include nursing home care. The national average for a shared room in a nursing home in 2016 is $225 per day. Now, let's take 225 and multiply it by 365 days a year. That is $82,125 a year. That's usually all private pay without insurance. Who can afford that? More than 1 in 6 Alzheimer's and dementia caregivers, because of this, had to quit their work entirely, either to become a caregiver in the first place or because their caregiver duties became too burdensome. I'm shocked at the lack of affordable health care for those with Alzheimer's and dementia, and because of this, I will likely continue to be my mother's caregiver through the rest of her second stage and into the severe stage of Alzheimer's disease. So I covered the 3 stages of Alzheimer's disease and what to expect with each stage. Being that every 66 seconds someone in the United States develops Alzheimer's disease, approximately 10 individuals have developed Alzheimer's disease since I began speaking to you today. I wish I could say that none of you will ever have to watch someone that you love suffer from Alzheimer's disease. But that would be a lie.